When a disaster strikes an American community, state, tribal, territorial, and local governments share the primary responsibility for protecting and helping their communities recover from disasters. Under the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act, known as the Stafford Act, when a disaster occurs of such significance that it overwhelms state, territorial, or tribal response agencies, the governor of the affected state or territory, or the chief executive of a federally recognized tribal government may request federal disaster assistance and the coordination of federal resources. The respective FEMA regional office will partner with the state, territory, or tribe to conduct a joint preliminary damage assessment, or PDA. If the PDA reveals damages of a sufficient scope to necessitate federal assistance, the governor or tribal executive will prepare a request for a federal disaster declaration within 30 days of the incident. FEMA reviews the request, and the FEMA administrator provides a recommendation to the president. Upon presidential approval, FEMA provides assistance. Not all forms of federal assistance are activated during every emergency or disaster. It is based on the needs of the affected community and the type of disaster declaration issued. The President may make an emergency declaration when an incident occurs or threatens to occur that poses a threat to life, the protection of property, public health and safety, or to lessen or avert the threat of a catastrophe in any part of the United States. This response is both swift and limited. An emergency declaration response cannot exceed $5 million without congressional notification. 2 assistance programs may be authorized for emergency declarations: public assistance and individual assistance. Public assistance may include Category A, debris removal, and Category B, emergency protective measures. Individual assistance, though rare during an emergency declaration, may provide money and services through the Individuals and Households Program, IHP, which will be described later. IHP is the only form of individual assistance authorized under an emergency declaration. When a state or tribe is immediately threatened by any natural or man-made incident where a potential major disaster declaration is imminent, a pre-disaster emergency declaration may be issued at the request of the governor or tribal chief executive. The President may issue a major disaster declaration for any natural catastrophe or a fire, flood, or explosion, regardless of cause, which the President determines caused damage of such severity that it is beyond the combined capabilities of state, territorial, and tribal governments to respond. This declaration authorizes a greater FEMA response. Under a major disaster declaration, FEMA offers 3 different disaster assistance programs: public assistance, individual assistance, and hazard mitigation. Under the public assistance program, in addition to the debris removal and emergency protective measures provided under an emergency declaration, a major disaster declaration can also include public assistance to address the repair of roads and bridges, water control facilities, buildings and equipment, utilities, and parks, recreational, and other facilities. Most individual assistance comes from the Individuals and Households Program. This program includes housing assistance that helps to fund home repair after a destructive event and provides temporary or permanent housing for members of the public who have lost their homes. It may also include assistance with uninsured personal property losses, transportation, medical, dental, funeral costs, and child care expenses. Under a major disaster declaration, FEMA also may provide significant hazard mitigation support to the state, territory, or tribe to reduce or eliminate long-term risk to life and property. Mitigation is a key process used to break the cycle of disaster damage, reconstruction, and repeated damage. Ultimately, the goal of any response is to limit loss of life and property and to create a more resilient nation, minimizing the impact of disasters on the American public.